or even at the hospital, you're not safe. But this one's a healthcare worker, and this happened at work. Somebody drilled their tank, and this is a Honda Pilot. There you go. Pulled the rag out. They shoved it in there so it wouldn't leak, but plastic tank. Alright guys, so a week has gone by and we finally got a fuel tank for this healthcare worker. It's also covered under the insurance too. So there was only one left in Ontario and we got our hands on it and we shipped it here. So yeah, we got ourselves one. There was only literally one fuel tank left in all of Canada, I guess. So yeah. What else? I just want to say, yeah, there are some pretty terrible people out there who actually would do something like that. You know, stealing fuel out of at a hospital. You know, like whether you're a healthcare worker or you know you're there to visit your loved ones that are in the hospital, or you're actually in the hospital yourself, and you know you're just leaving your car there over a period of time. You know, those are some, I call them scum of the earth. You know, but yeah, I'm curious how much they got away with. You know, like how much fuel they actually stole from that parking lot. But yeah, anyways. I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna start taking the fuel tank out. I think what I'm gonna do is I gotta remove the second row. They also have kids here. They have some kids stuff. So I gotta remove the second row, get access to the top of the fuel tank just to disconnect it, and then yeah, we're gonna go ahead and go and start removing stuff underneath to drop the fuel tank. It's gonna be pretty light because there's almost like no fuel in this thing. Yeah, it's literally on E, so I don't have to drain it, but we do have to go pick up some gas to put some in there. So yeah, I'm gonna go to the parts department and grab my fuel tank and start taking stuff apart. Alright, so I'm still waiting for parts to grab my fuel tank. I'll just remove all these soccer balls out of the way so I can access the back of this fuel tank. I thought I could probably, well, your fuel tank is, or the top of the fuel tank is just right here. I thought I can probably do it, but yeah, they don't make it easy for you. I guess you actually have to take out this left side second row to access the screws for this cover that's underneath there. So I gotta actually remove the entire seat. So yeah, there's two screws that are on this side and one back there, and you can't get at it. You gotta take the seat out. So I'm gonna take out the seat and yeah, and do that. So yeah, what you need to do is remove some of these plastic trim pieces. Also this one, they just pop right off. It's not hard to get off. And then you just gotta unbolt it. 14 mil. That comes off. Make sure you don't lose your bolts. All right, a lot of crumbs because you know kids. I also see dog hair too, so they probably have a dog too. It's like everywhere. But yeah, so now the seats pretty much loose. I already took the ones in the front, so yeah, I can pull the seat out. Is there a connector down underneath, or maybe a cable? Yeah, there's a harness down there. I don't know if you can see it right there. So I'm gonna have to disconnect it. Probably has heated seats. Yeah, it has heated seats. Yeah, there in the center console. Heated seats. Also has an infotainment system in here too. Fancy. Well, I guess you need something to entertain the kids so they don't go crazy in the car, right? Okay, so rather than take the entire thing out, I'm just gonna leave it like that. Should be fine. And all I have to do is just access the top of this. Top of the fuel pump. Because couldn't access those two screws on those back sides. Couldn't have moved the you know, cover slightly over so you don't have to lift the seat off or anything. Putting all my screws over there. Let's see. Oh, there's no other screws out there, just the three. And I just need to disconnect that connector off of that. Right? I can actually remove this. There's the top of your fuel tank, fuel pump. I can also disconnect that fuel line while I'm up here. Then yeah, do it with one hand. Watch the fuel spray everywhere. I'm just gonna, oh yeah, not much, that's it. So yeah, that's, everything's done up here. Now we're gonna go underneath. Well, I thought we were getting a new one, but I guess we're getting a used one. I guess that's what the insurance company only wanted to pay for. So yeah, anyways, when I looked at it, I thought we were getting a new one. So yeah, anyways, it's got everything. Some wreckers like to chop off these things, and then that makes the tank completely useless, because they have done that before. So anyways, okay, what we're gonna do is remove drive shaft. I think I'm gonna keep the exhaust on, and then I gotta disconnect the neck up there. And then what else? Probably remove this bar. I think that's it. Yeah, I think just the drive shaft's out in the way. I'll remove this exhaust if I have to, but I don't want to mess with the those bolts. Alright, so I took off I gotta disconnect the filler neck. You gotta disconnect her. It's like a giant clip, fuel line connector, but filler neck size. But you can't push on that. I think there's a bunch of junk in the back, so I gotta grab a pick and kind of like scrape out all the stuff in the back. Or I can just, since this tank is pretty much useless, because this part of the filler neck is part of the tank, I can just probably snip that off, snip the other side off, and then just slide it off, and you can call it a day. The other one looks fine though, the one down there. So I don't know, I'll try that, get that thing off. So yeah, I got this off. I had to cut the sides off. This thing's garbage anyways. I just need to keep this clip. Also had to disconnect this, I guess the vent. It just vents up to the filler neck up here. So that's what that is. I had to remove the entire fender liner anyway, so I took it off. So yeah, now this part is done. There's one evap line I gotta disconnect on top of the fuel tank, but I gotta disconnect it over here on a charcoal canister for that evap. But then this thing's pretty rock solid. I can't push that thing in to disconnect it. So what am I gonna do? Well, I'm gonna start taking this thing off first, so I can. There's a clip that holds those lines in, so I gotta disconnect that. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Plus, I have this one that goes to the vent up top. All right, guys. So I finally got the fuel tank out. This is actually the next morning, because I did it at the end of the day and did as much as I could before I left. But came in early in the morning, got the fuel tank out. But the thing I had to do to actually slide this fuel tank out was unhook it. I just hung it on the lower control arm, right? And yeah, so I had to take this, there was a bracket here, I had to take it off so I can hammer a socket onto the bolt that holds the fuel tank strap, which was, yeah, that was a fuel tank strap. These are just the bolts for that bracket. And yeah, that's just right there, that little bar. And I think that's it. Now I just gotta swap over the fuel pump over to the used tank. All right, so before I put this tank on, just want to note some damages, right? Wreckers, they don't really care. They just get it out as fast as possible. So just to note, there are some damages, and if I take this video, I can show them before I put them on, in case something else happens, right? It might be a leak somewhere or something like that. So there's some here. I don't know how they scratch it like that, but there are some marks. There's some marks right here. I took it out without any kind of marks or anything, right? But I get it out by removing what I can to get it out. So yeah. So let's see. I got myself a new nut and a new O-ring, because I think that's the only new thing that the insurance company wants to pay for. Right? Really scratched up here. So yeah, I'm gonna swap over the fuel pump. Right, so when you're swapping over the fuel pump, make sure you know how the fuel pump's supposed to go in. There's an arrow here that's supposed to line up with this mark here, and yeah, that should be it. So new nut. Make sure the new O-ring kind of sits there, doesn't roll over, and I think you should be all good. All right, so fuel tank's in. I kind of just lifted it and then put it in there. Make sure the filler neck goes up into there. Make sure all these evap and vent lines are in the clips. I routed all of them. Got to connect that one back over there. Yeah, so pretty much done. I gotta hang the exhaust back up because it's just hanging on the lower control arm here, and put the drive shaft back in, and we're pretty much done. I gotta put the the second row seat back in, put the what else I put in, all the plastic trim underneath. So yeah, but I get people in the comments asking me how much does this cost, how much does that cost, but really I don't actually know. I just request it on the computer. It goes to parts let me know how long the parts come in, or how long the parts is going to take to come in, or where it's coming from, and then that quote goes up to service advisor, and then service advisor tells either the customer or the I guess insurance. Well, insurance didn't want to pay for a new fuel tank and end up getting a used tank. I honestly thought I was getting a new tank because there was only one left in Ontario, and they're like, we gotta have it. And then I guess they got a used tank instead. But so anyways, I think probably don't want to see me put everything back together, but it's pretty much the opposite of removal. So anyways, all right, everything is back in, back seat and everything's back in. I put the fender liner in, right? And then I just got to fill up the gas. I got somebody go pick up me some fuel. There's like 20 liters. And these guys have the capless system. I hate using the little tiny funnel that the car comes with, so I just use this. It's just you can stick a regular funnel that's big enough, or bigger than the one that you have in the trunk. I got the scanner here so I can do the EBAP leak test. Make sure everything's good before I, take the car out, and so the customer can take it. Same thing like this car. I thought we were getting I quoted for a fuel tank, and thought we were going to get a new fuel tank because there was one left in Ontario, and then parts. I said the parts were here on the computer when I located a new job, and parts brings me a used one. So I guess it's kind of those things that I don't really know until parts actually get here. And if you're wondering when we do warranty stuff, I actually don't even know what I'm getting paid for labor time until, maybe a week later it shows up on my flag time for jobs. So yeah, if you're wondering how much things cost, I probably most likely won't be able to give you an answer. That's just let you know. But if you do ask, there may be times when you do ask, I actually go to the parts department and ask for that part and see how much it is, and I let you know. But so if you do get a part price from me, that's what I was doing. But yeah, things like this, I don't know. But anyways, yeah, I pretty much it. I'm just going here, just trying to get through and be able to, where's inspection or adjustment, EVAP test. So I'm just going to do the EVAP leak test, function test, make sure everything's all good before I finish. And 5 gallons or 20 liters of fuel barely gets you a quarter tank nowadays, because it's like $2 a liter, which I think last year was like over $2, like $2.30 for a liter. It's crazy. Yes, sure. Please refill the cap. Yes. So yeah, it's doing its EVAP leak test. This function on the scanner is very helpful. So right now it's the vent solenoid is closed, and the purge valve isn't open. So if you want to diagnose where your problem is, right, this is a lot of information to use. So you see the vent solenoid just went off, so I mean it opened. You see the fuel tank pressure sensor that just went down from 2.5, because when you seal up the system, something called a rate vapor pressure that above the tank that fuel vapor creates, it actually creates a positive pressure. So when you see that voltage go up on the fuel tank pressure sensor, that means it's sealed. So that's what your computer is seeing. It's just trying to see the increase in voltage from fuel tank pressure sensor to I guess check the tank. So now it's doing its opening its purge valve, watching the fuel tank pressure sensor go down, and then I guess sealing the tank, and then it should hold it, and then it'll hold it there to see how long the decay of the vacuum inside the tank slowly drops. Just because it's dropped, just because the voltage starts increasing, it doesn't mean it's a leak. because your fuel is creating pressure in the tank slowly by becoming a vapor in above the fuel. So it's called the rate vapor pressure. So yeah, if you didn't know, now you know. So a lot of times we get the apprentices, just because the scanner says it passed, right, or it failed. Like, did you watch what these things are doing? Because when you know, if your purge valve opens, right, even if the vent valve is open, this should be still kind of the voltage should start dropping, so you know the purge valve is working. And yeah, just to help determine where your issue is, right? Just don't go by, you know, the test says it failed. You know, if you can tell by which part it's failed, if it's the vent valve, purge valve, yeah, stuff like that, just by looking at these three PIDs for live data and see what they're doing. But just by looking at it, it's sealed, and the amount of decay it's going, it should pass, or a normal. Everything is normal. So I'll bring you back when it gets the results. So yeah, evap leak test is done. It says it's normal, so no leaks or any kind of evap system issue or codes that it'll set. So yeah, I'm good. So I can finally kick this car out and go on to the next job.